Unemployment. This is the Unemployment Insider. This guide is to help you guys navigate the unemployment system. And let's get started. This presentation is designed to help you, the unemployed worker, gain a better understanding of the unemployment system. Unemployment is paid to workers who are unemployed or working reduced hours through no fault of their own. Unemployment benefits are paid via a trust fund fully funded by employer taxes. Employees do not pay unemployment taxes because that is a huge misconception when it comes to unemployment. Unemployment taxes do not come from any earnings that you make. Only employers fund the unemployment system. Federal employees receive their unemployment from the federal government. Your payments are determined by your last duty station as a civilian federal employee, which is normally the state you reside in. State laws determine your eligibility, not federal laws. So the states act as agents for the federal government, but your funds, your payments come from the federal government. You must be employed at least 18 months by an employer who was required to pay employer taxes, or you must have requested a preservation of benefit entitlement within the last 3 years due to disability. That is what is required in order for you to be paid unemployment benefits, okay? So you must have worked within the previous 18 months, or at some point within the last 3 years, if you became disabled and filed an unemployment claim, and you request a preservation of benefit entitlement, then you would still be eligible for those benefits once you're no longer declared disabled. Your weekly benefit amount is not determined by your last salary amount. Okay, so if you made $3 million, you're not going to get a $3 million unemployment check. Okay, that's not going to happen. It is based on the highest quarter of wages within the last 5 completed calendar quarters prior to you filing unemployment, and that is multiplied by some predetermined number set by your state law. You must refer to your individual state law in order to calculate your amount correctly. Okay, each state has their own calculation in order to calculate your weekly benefit amount. So if you live in Alaska, you're not going to get the same benefit amount as someone who lives in, let's say, Idaho, because each state pays a higher or different weekly benefit amount. So people in Massachusetts generally come out a lot better in unemployment benefits than, say, someone who lives in Wyoming. Now, the first step in successfully filing any unemployment claim is to file timely. So, filing timely means to file your claim by the Friday following your last day of work. For example, if your last day of work was March 12, 2020, your claim under normal unemployment guidelines would be timely if you file your claim, and this should be by March 21st, 2020. Because the 22nd was a Sunday. So forgive me and I'm correcting this. The correct date would be March 21st because that's the Saturday. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, most states have waived the filing deadline. However, a word of caution, despite the filing deadlines being waived, do not wait to file your claim. The sooner you file, the sooner you can receive benefits. Okay? Also, I will say that don't wait until you get back to work to file your claim. And I'll go into more of that as I get into the certification process. The next step in the unemployment process is to register for work. Again, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, most states have waived this requirement. However, keep in mind, this is also subject to change. 3, you must certify timely for your benefits, which is normally 1 or 2 weeks after you file your claim. This depends solely on your state requirements. Again, each state has their own set of rules regarding certification and registration requirements, as far as whether or not they want you to register immediately, how they want you to do work searches, and each state has their own little rules. But the most important thing is this: if you do not certify, you don't receive any money. It doesn't get any simpler than that, okay? No certification, no money. You must keep records of your work search. Again, this is something that has been waived due to the COVID-19 pandemic. However, this is also subject to change, so please pay attention to the news and also to any mailings or any emails you may receive from your local agencies. Because again, once they change this stuff, you guys are going to have to, be aware, because again, some of these agencies, they're not going to be lenient. You don't do what you're supposed to do, they're not going to pay you. Now we will move on to the certification process and how your answers can prevent you from receiving unemployment benefits. Certification you must certify timely. You must report on the date designated by the agency for you to certify in order to receive your payment for unemployment. You have until the end of the week to report. So if your day to report is on a Monday, they normally give you until the Saturday of that week to report, okay? So they do give you a little leeway, but again, certify timely for your benefits. Now, a word of caution: if you don't report timely, because I've seen some people on the internet give people some false information, telling the agencies that you didn't report timely because your phone was disconnected or because your internet service is down. Those are not good reasons for not certifying timely for your benefits. If you tell them you don't have a phone, what that does is it opens up an availability issue for you, because you're letting them know that if a job tries to contact you, that you're unavailable, that you don't have that you now have an availability issue. No one can reach you. So therefore, you're not available for work. Therefore, you're not eligible for unemployment. You get what I'm saying? A good unemployment adjudicator will hold you ineligible for unemployment. So, certify for your benefits timely if you want to get paid. Stop trying to beat the system. Are you able and available for work? That's usually the first question it asks you. You're going to answer yes if you are able to go to work and if you're available for work. This usually just means if your current employer or any employer calls you for a job, okay? Would you be willing to go? Simple enough. You're going to answer no only if you are not able to perform any physical work at any time. So if you have a broken leg, I'm going to give you an example. If you have a broken leg, and let's say you have a desk job, could you work with that broken leg? Are you physically able to go in and type at that desk job with that broken leg? Normal people could say, yes, yeah, I would be willing to go into work with that broken leg and type. Now, you probably wouldn't go, but let's just be honest. Most people can go into work and type on a computer with a broken leg. That doesn't prevent you from doing any type of physical work. So you're going to answer yes. Now, if you're a painter and it requires you to stand and climb ladders, you wouldn't be able to physically able to do your job. So you would say no, okay? But if another job was to call you besides your regular job and offer you that job, would you be willing to go? That's how you answer the question. Would you be willing to go? You answer yes and move on. Let's not make it difficult. It's not brain surgery. Are you back to work? Okay. If you are back to work, but you still need to claim unemployment, you're going to answer no. Otherwise, a yes answer will close your claim. So let's say that you were laid off 2 weeks ago and you went back to work this past Monday, but you were set to call the unemployment office to certify for your benefits on Wednesday of this week. When you called in, obviously you are currently back to work. But when you called in, you wanted to say no so that you could certify for your previous 2 weeks of unemployment. Okay? You certify and you say, no, I'm not back to work, even though you are, because what's going to happen is if you hit yes, I'm back to work, it automatically shuts down that claim. You can't certify. Okay? You don't want to do that. So what you want to do is certify how you normally would. You're going to say no, and then it's going to pay you. And then when it gives you the next time and it gives you that little spiel about call for your next benefits on your next benefit day, you don't call. When you don't call again, it automatically closes your claim anyway. Okay? Let's not make this difficult. Are you seeking work? You're going to answer yes to this question if you're planning to return to your current employer or if you are actively looking for another job. Simple, okay? Because a lot of people get into this confusion about, well, I have a current job. I'm just off of work from my current employer. So no, I'm not looking for another job. So I'm going to hit no. So what happens is you hit no and you don't get paid. Now you're mad. Well, you said you weren't looking for work. Well, I'm not really looking for work. Okay, but are you going back to your current employer? Yes. Okay, so then why did you hit no? If you are going back to your current employer, you're looking to go back to work, correct? So then you're going to answer yes. Okay? Let's not create issues when there really aren't any issues. Okay? If you are anticipating going back to your current employer, if they have given you a return to work date, then you are actively seeking work. Let's not make it an issue. Okay? Do you have any earnings or holiday pay, including severance? Now, you must report your earnings to the agency. Okay? This is where a lot of fraud comes into play. This is how people get hit with restitution because they want to listen to the friends who know nothing about unemployment. Let me explain to you. Okay? If you work 2 hours and you earn $40, okay, you must report that to the agency. If you went into an employer and you worked 2 hours, you must report that to the agency. You're going to report the gross amount, not the net amount. If you know how much you make an hour, that is the amount you're going to report. You're going to take what you make per hour. If it's $24.50, if it's $10.50, you multiply that by the number of hours you've worked and you report that to the system. It's not rocket science. Okay? So if you work a 40-hour work week, first of all, if you're working full-time during a week, you shouldn't be claiming unemployment for that week. Okay? So let me make that perfectly clear. If you work full-time during a week, do not claim unemployment. You're going to waive that week. You have that option, okay? when it asks you, are you claiming unemployment for both weeks? Because it does ask you that. You can say no. Let's say if you work one day, or if you're working like 3 days out of a week, and you know you make a significant amount of money, okay? Don't use up weeks of unemployment collecting, and let's say your weekly benefit amount is the maximum weekly benefit amount. But if you collect that week of unemployment and you've worked 4 days out of that week, and by collecting that week, you're only going to get $50, waive that week. Save that week of unemployment for a week in which you really are going to need a week of unemployment. Okay, you have an entire year to claim that week. These are things people don't tell you. I'm telling you this as an insider for the agency. Just saying, I'm telling you this. You have the option of not claiming both weeks, because there's so many people who claim weeks of unemployment when they shouldn't claim weeks of unemployment. They wind up with $25 instead of a full weeks of unemployment. And then when they really need that full week of unemployment, that full payment amount, they can't get it because they've exhausted their benefits. So if you don't need a full weeks of unemployment, if you don't need the full week, waive the week and collect only the week in which you need a full week of unemployment. It can be done. All right, but let's get back to how do you report your earnings. I just had to say that because it frustrates me when I see that. Okay, so again, if you work one day, you're going to report your earnings. If you have holiday pay, you're going to report your earnings. Again, you're reporting the gross amount. If you have severance pay, because again, I've given you an example here of how severance pay can be allocated and how you can avoid having your claim held up due to severance pay. Severance pay is allocated a lot of times to weeks of unemployment. Okay, so if your employer, and believe me, employers a lot of times give you severance and they'll say, this is 10 weeks worth of payment, or this is 2 weeks worth of payment. Okay, or we just allocated it to the last day of work. And if that's what they said, then that's great. That's perfect for you. So that means that you can collect your claim without your claim for unemployment without any issues. Okay, a lot of employers do that. And I think those employers are wonderful. But when you have employers who give you a severance that's like $30,000 or $20,000, and they say, you know what, this severance is for 20 weeks. It's 20 weeks worth of wages. What you essentially have to do is count off 20 weeks, and at the end of that 20 weeks, file your unemployment claim. Otherwise, you're filing an unemployment claim, then you're waiting for a decision to be made that basically tells you that you can't claim unemployment until those 20 weeks are up. Then you're all mad because obviously you probably have spent that money, and for 20 weeks you won't have any money. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that's how severance works. Severance all depends on how your employer allocates it, but it has to be reported. Does lottery winnings affect unemployment? No, because it is unearned wages. Matter of fact, it's not even wages. It's just money you happen to have received because you made a good bet. Congratulations, but it's not earnings. Okay? It can be used to offset any money that you owe to the unemployment office. Okay? If you wind up owing restitution to the agency, okay, understand that they can levy your income tax money, your federal and state income tax money, and they can take any lottery winnings, just so you know. Okay? And if you are hit with intentional fraud, you can serve time in jail for it. And because they are now offering federal extensions, you can wind up in federal prison if you are held for intentional fraud on these federal extensions, because there's state money and then there is federal money. So be very careful collecting this money and committing fraud. I'm not saying this to scare anybody, but think twice about committing fraud when you're collecting unemployment, because they will prosecute you. Now, moving along, eligibility for PUA includes those individuals not eligible, for regular unemployment compensation or extended benefits under state or federal law or pandemic emergency unemployment compensation, including those who have exhausted all rights to such benefits. Covered individuals also include self-employed individuals, those seeking part-time employment, and individuals lacking sufficient work history. Depending on state law, covered individuals may also include clergy and those working for religious organizations who are not covered by regular unemployment compensation. Basically, what they're saying is if you are a 1099, if you work for Uber, Lyft, or any of those kind of gig work, hairdressers, barbers, anything of that nature, you can now apply for unemployment and receive it. Okay, and this again is where there may be some fraud going on. And again, once this pandemic kind of goes away and they start doing audits, understand they may start looking more so at those workers and really going over those wages that people are reporting. So if you are in that category, I suggest that you have really good records, okay? Because you guys would probably be the first ones they would look at to see whether or not if you owe restitution. Just giving you a heads up. Not trying to scare you, but I mean, I hope you have really good records. And I would even say that for regular people who are on unemployment, you know, the regular workers, you know, because some of these employers have been lax in what they've been doing, you know, but trust me, employers protest claims all the time. And because of what's going on, people are more concerned with processing claims and getting people paid. Okay, but if you were not entitled to money and you've gotten all this money, trust they are going to recoup that money, because these employers don't appreciate their taxes going up for paying these claims. Just saying. Pandemic unemployment insurance. PUA provides up to 39 weeks of benefits to qualifying individuals who are otherwise able to work and available for work within the meaning of applicable state laws or applicable state laws, depending on how you want to say it, except that they are unemployed, partially unemployed, or unable or unavailable to work due to COVID-19 related reasons, as defined in the CARES Act. Benefit payments under PUA are retroactive for weeks of unemployment, partial unemployment, or inability to work due to COVID-19 reasons, starting on or after January 27, 2020. The CARES Act specifies that PUA benefits cannot be paid for weeks of unemployment ending after December 31st, 2020. So, for those of you who have been unlucky in getting your claims filed, understand that you have until the 31st of December to actually get your claims covered under this PUA. Okay, that's basically what they're saying. It's providing up to 39 weeks. If you're unable to work due to COVID-19, you are eligible starting as of January 27th. So let's say if you became ill and it was due to COVID-19 back in January and you were unable to work, you could effectively go back and request benefits for this. This is what it's saying. So they've given people a lot of leeway with this. Okay. Information regarding how $600 payments will be paid and allocated. Okay, to provide assistance and assurance to those eligible, the benefit payments under FPUC may begin as soon as the week after the execution of a signed agreement between the department and states. So this is the Department of Labor, just so you guys know. The timeline for these payments will vary by state. As states begin providing this payment, eligible individuals will receive retroactive payments back to their date of eligibility or the signing of the state agreement, whichever came later. All states have executed agreements within the department as of March 28, 2020. So if you filed your claim back in March, the early part of March, you wouldn't be eligible for a payment until the week ending March 28. Because that essentially is when all states had this agreement signed. Okay? So that's basically what this is saying. Now, some people have said that they've received these payments. Some people say they have not. Understand some states still are having trouble implementing this program and getting this program to pay correctly on their system. So be patient. You're going to get the money. Just know that when you do get it, you're probably going to get a nice lump sum, okay? Because I think how they're doing it is they're paying the $600 payments separate from the regular unemployment payments. Some people are getting them both at the same time, but hey, you got the money coming. Extended benefits. Extended benefits are available to workers who have exhausted regular unemployment insurance benefits during periods of high unemployment. Excuse me. The basic extended benefit program provides up to 13 additional weeks of benefits when a state is experiencing high unemployment. Some states have also enacted a voluntary program to pay up to 7 additional weeks, 20 weeks maximum, of extended benefits during periods of extremely high unemployment. So again, this is determined by the unemployment rate. So once the unemployment rate goes down, these extensions automatically get shut off. Okay, so there was a website that you could go to and kind of see whether or not if your state was turned on or off for extensions. As soon as I find that website again, I will put a link on it or a link to it in the comments below so that you guys can actually go and see what I'm talking about. because I think that's important for you to see, so that when you're calling, so that you can just see whether or not if your state still has extensions available. You do not have to reapply for extended benefits. That's been one of the major questions. Why am I not getting the benefits? Okay. Continue to certify for your benefits. Your state's unemployment system should automatically process your extension once you've exhausted your regular unemployment benefits. However, follow any instructions provided by your state to ensure you continue to receive benefits uninterrupted. Okay, so with the extended benefits, occasionally claims don't automatically kick over to the extensions. And what happens is they have to manually go in and turn those extensions on some claims. It happens. So if you know that you've exhausted your benefits, and when you call the next time to certify timely and you don't receive a payment amount, you need to immediately tell someone, notify your agency, and let them know. Okay? That concludes the presentation. I hope this has been helpful. Have a good day.